Alright, what's up everybody on YouTube? So, today, I just had to do something very quick and very stupid, but I figured I would do it, get it out of the way, so that I could take all this apart and kind of talk you more through the speed HUD install, show you kind of what's going on back there and all that rat's nest, and as well as kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to disassemble the front center console on an early 944. I have no idea how to do it on a later one. You're going to have to find a different video for that one. So first off, while this is all kind of apart, the whole reason why I took this apart was because the little LED that I installed for the, man that's bright, for the oil pressure gauge, which is this guy right here, was just kind of flickering a little bit, so I needed to reseat that and make sure it was good and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and shut that back off. And the way these VDO gauges are mounted, you can see it's pretty straightforward, just like the rest of any other VDO gauge you'll see. It's this metal retaining clip that slides around the gauge. So you pop the gauge in from the front. There will be two threaded screws coming in through here from the back, and you'll just thread those on. The speed HUD gauge that I custom ordered is a 52mm gauge, and you can see all the wiring for it back here. So the red, the white, and the black wiring is all strictly for the gauge lighting, and that is all tied in to the rest of the dash lighting, just like this. What I did was remove this plug, so there's a positive and negative spade terminal, and originally the clock was there, so instead of installing the clock, it's just tied into the regular gauge lighting for what would have been the clock, as well as the power. Actually, no, that's not true. The power I tied into the radio, so that way it would come on with keyed ignition, because I don't want the gauge to have 12 volts all the time. So that's how that works. Here's the AC switch. You can see how that works, and I probably need to tighten that because that looks pretty loose, and that's not right. So I'll do that while I'm in here. And you can see how I did everything. Now this is very, very disgusting, like cable management wise. And I apologize for that, but it gets the job done. So everything that's back here is all spade connected, nothing was soldered, and I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because if I ever want to change any of this back, I can. I can completely revert it back to stock, and nothing has been so far tampered with that it can't be reverted. So if I'm in my 50s and I'm like, you know what, I need to order a set of yellow gauges again, and I need to get rid of this fuel pressure gauge, I guarantee you I won't, because this car will probably stop running again at some point. I'll need to see if I have fuel pressure. But that's why all that's there. It's also there for if I ever needed to sell the car, an owner can't say, oh well, you screwed with all this stuff and it's irreversible and I don't like the way this looks. It's my car under my possession, and I did what I wanted to do with it. So that's how that's laid out. So now let me give you some tips and tricks. First off, I'll slide that back in there in a second. Now, first thing you're going to want to do is slide all the heater knobs that connect to this plate right here to the middle. When this is all together, pop all those out. Make sure that they're in the middle, because that's going to be the best way to get them seated back in. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to do it if it's to the side. You'll have to, like, if you pull them out while it's to either side, they're curved. They're not exactly straight. So it's a little bit, kind of see it's at a weird angle there. So it's a little bit difficult to get it in. There's going to be two screws on the top of this faceplate. One up there, one up there. A lot of cars will usually have them missing. And then there's two screws. Let's see if I can show this. That slide. Oh man, there's no lighting. Right there. There's one right there. And then there's another one equidistant on the other side. And then there's these two, if I can show them, little tabs. The camera will focus. There's those two little tabs right there. And those basically will snap into here once this is all screwed in. And then you'll need to line this up. Preferably, the way that I recommend doing it is once this is all back together and you have the heater faceplate off, lining everything back up, and then sliding the knobs on first so that the knobs will help hold this plate in place, and then you can start threading in these little guys, these two little black screws. Let's see if it'll focus. Come on. These two little black screws, and those will screw underneath the heater faceplate above the stereo. If you have a modern stereo, it's nice. You don't need to take the whole stereo out. You just pop the faceplate off. And there's also locking screws for that come with some stereos, so that way nobody can just pop it off and steal it, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, that's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all this back together, and yeah, to install everything is just to disassemble everything is just a reverse order of that. So like I said, you just pop those knobs out, unscrew 4 screws, and it'll take a little bit of coercing. Be gentle with it. It's 35-year-old plastic. And then you can do some fun stuff. So if you wanted to, you could start covering all this with leather. But yeah. So thanks for watching, and I hope that helps some of you guys out there that are new to the early cars.